The global economy is a delicate web of interdependence, where a single policy decision can unravel millions of livelihoods. As tariffs on Chinese goods surge, triggering a historic exodus of cargo from the port of Los Angeles, a drop of one-third compared to last year, the ripple effects are far more profound than delayed shipments or pricier electronics. This isn't just a trade war. It's a seismic shift that threatens to destabilize employment across industries, exposing vulnerabilities in supply chains, consumer behavior, and workforce stability. The abrupt halt of Chinese imports, which account for 45% of the port's business, is not merely a logistical headache. It's a harbinger of deeper economic fractures. Retailers, having stockpiled inventory for 9 months ahead of the tariff storm, now face a stark reality: dwindling shelves, soaring prices, and an uncertain future where choice becomes a luxury. But behind these surface-level disruptions lies a more alarming crisis: the erosion of jobs, both in manufacturing hubs like China and in the US, where the fallout could leave millions unemployed. The connection between tariffs and unemployment is neither linear nor immediate, but it is undeniable. When major retailers pause orders, factories in China grind to a halt, leaving workers idle. A pain mirrored in U.S. warehouses, trucking networks, and retail floors that relied on steady import flows. The domino effect extends further. American manufacturers dependent on Chinese components face production delays, while small businesses unable to absorb higher material costs may shutter entirely. Even sectors seemingly untouched by global trade, like tech or healthcare, could feel the pinch as economic uncertainty stifles investment and hiring. The inventory surge earlier this year masked underlying fragility, creating temporary jobs in logistics and storage, only to amplify the crash when the demand evaporated. Now, as companies scramble to reroute supply chains to Southeast Asia, they confront a harsh truth. Vietnam's factories and Cambodian ports lack the capacity to replace 35% of China's output overnight. This bottleneck isn't just about goods, it's about labor. Jobs tied to transportation, warehousing, and retail sales hang in the balance. While workers in industries dependent on imported materials, from construction to automotive, face layoffs as costs climb. Yet the economic tremors extend beyond direct job losses. Higher prices for consumers, driven by tariffs and reduced competition for goods, erode purchasing power. As households tighten budgets, sectors like hospitality, entertainment, and discretionary services face declining revenue, a downward spiral that could trigger further unemployment. Meanwhile, the psychological impact of economic instability cannot be ignored. Reduced consumer confidence leads to cautious spending, slowing growth and prompting businesses to delay expansions or hiring. Governments, too, feel the strain. With tax revenues under pressure from stagnant wages and corporate profits, public sector jobs and social safety nets may face cuts, compounding the crisis. The result? A self-reinforcing cycle of job loss, reduced demand, and economic stagnation that could persist long after trade agreements are renegotiated. Preparing for this upheaval demands a multifaceted approach. Individually, workers must prioritize adaptability. Upskilling in fields resilient to automation, such as healthcare or green energy. Embracing roles in emerging sectors like AI-driven logistics or renewable infrastructure. Diversifying income streams through gig work or remote opportunities could buffer against industry-specific collapses. For businesses, the lesson is clear: over-reliance on single-source supply chains is a gamble. Companies must invest in regional suppliers, adopt just-in-time inventory systems to minimize risk. Companies must leverage technology to streamline operations with fewer employees. Governments face a dual mandate: injecting stimulus to stabilize employment while fostering long-term resilience. Policies like wage subsidies, tax incentives for domestic manufacturing, and massive investments in retraining programs could mitigate short-term pain. Equally critical is reimagining trade alliances, not as zero-sum battles, but as collaborative frameworks to stabilize global markets. Beyond policy and preparation lies a cultural shift, accepting that economic volatility is the new norm. The era of stable, linear career paths has faded, replaced by a landscape where agility and lifelong learning are survival tools. Communities must build networks of mutual support, cooperatives, local job banks, and skill-sharing platforms to cushion transitions between industries. As supply chains fragment, opportunities arise. Localized production, supported by 3D printing and decentralized manufacturing, could create jobs in smaller hubs, reducing dependency on distant ports and factories. The coming years will test our ability to innovate, adapt, and collaborate. Those who recognize unemployment not as a distant threat, but as an interconnected challenge will navigate the storm, not unscathed, but unbroken. In the end, the collapse of cargo volumes at Los Angeles isn't just a story about tariffs. It's a microcosm of a world economy in flux, where every stalled ship and empty shelf whispers a warning. Prepare, adapt, or risk being left behind. The question isn't whether unemployment will rise, it's who will be ready when it does.